to Good Boys Gone Bland, Season 8, Episode 9, Seann William Scott TV Special. I'm your co-host, Denali.
I'm your co-host, Ryan.
Hey, it's me, City Jace.
City Jace.
Yeah.
I like City Jace. What does City Jace do?
Oh, it's me. I
guess the real question would be, what would Country
does Country Jace
Who is
do?
Country
Yeah.
Jace? Is Country Jace like tougher? Does he like smoke cigarettes, ride a motorcycle?
Probably.
You don't smoke, Jace.
No.
You're not a smoker.
Country Jace would maybe be into like bull riding.
Oh, yeah.
Bull riding.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, not really, but
He'd
yeah.
be into it. He
Yeah.
wouldn't
He'd be-
necessarily do it.
Oh,
He's
I
the
was thinking he
spectator
would-
for bull riding.
Ooh, yeah.
He never misses a bull ride
Going to
show.
rodeos. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You guys ever been to a rodeo?
Yeah.
I've been to a rodeo.
Oh.
The State Fair used to have rodeos in Alaska. They were kind of like weird and sad.
Right.
I don't think the Last Frontier is the place where you want to be performing in a rodeo for people who just got done seeing the sun for the next 7 months.
How do they get the horses there? Are they local horses?
Planes?
I think they ride them up.
You can plane
I
a
think
horse.
they came across the land bridge across like the Mongolian steppe like 10 million years ago.
No, not actual. No, I don't think so. I don't think there were horses in the New World. I think horses were brought over.
I don't really know how horses work. Can you imagine like being the guy who gets gored by a bull at a rodeo at an Alaska State Fair where there's only 6 people there?
Yeah, that's pretty.
I
the
don't even know.
stakes. It's kind of like high risk, low reward.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, is
normally,
there-
like if you get gored in Las Vegas
Yeah.
in front of 20,000 people,
Kind of cool
You-
for like a rodeo standpoint.
and
and then-
when you show up at the bar later,
Yeah, they're like,
You
oh,
know.
this guy.
you know how like in golf when you make a hole in one, you're supposed to like buy a round for everybody.
Is that a
What?
thing? Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah,
rule?
if you make a hole
I've
in
never
one,
done this.
you
Why do
buy
you know a golf rule?
drinks because in Rochester just hosted the PGA
Oh.
and somebody hit a hole in one.
That's fine. That's cool.
Can you imagine being the guy that's like 80th in the tournament and you hit a hole in one and everybody's like, you got to buy his drinks. And it's like, fuck you, I'm not getting paid anything for this performance.
That's like literally what happened. The guy who hit the hole in one was a club pro, so he's not a professional golf player. He got into the tournament by winning like a tournament in Southern California where he lives and teaches golf. And it was like they give a certain amount of like tickets out to these like entries out to these people as like a Cinderella story kind of motivator to get you to play more at your local course.
And he's out like
And-
10 grand in drinks.
He made a lot of money, but like yeah, I think that's the whole idea.
I'd be going to the store and I don't know, maybe buying a bunch of Kraken rum.
Yeah.
Well, the
Coming
Michelob
back with
Ultra was $17 a can
Oh my God.
at the country club. Yeah.
I've never had it. Folks, welcome to our show.
Oh yeah.
Hello. Yeah, welcome.
We're on episode 9 of the Seann Shack, where we are watching and reviewing the great works of a great artist, Seann William Scott. But this week we did something a little different. Jace, what did we do this week?
This week, Swiss, as we like to call him,
Swiss.
has had a bit more of a bit more of a different acting trajectory, I would say, than any of our previous actors. And I knew specifically that Seann William Scott was in an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the episode Country Mac. You know, that's a 30-minute episode, so I thought his newer projects are almost exclusively TV shows.
Right.
He was pretty recently in a movie, but other than that, he's been TV acting for a while. So I thought, how much more insane can we get? Let's watch 2 TV episodes starring our star Swiss
Our boy.
and see how it compares to film.
Yeah, evaluate him in like a different context. And in some ways, his concentration could be higher per percentage of watch time. Because like It's Always Sunny, it's like a 22-minute episode. And so every second he's in there, that's a bigger piece of the pie. There could be more Sean in these things than in like Dude, Where's My Car?
Percentage wise.
Yeah, it was interesting because when I was watching these things, because Amber doesn't like she's not really sure like what I'm watching in the Seann William Scott season, but she sees me watching these 2 random TV shows for the podcast, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she's like, "Isn't that guy who shows up in Lethal Weapon?" And I was like, "Yes, this is Seann William Scott." But you know what? We're in an age now where going between TV and movies is not really a big deal. Like maybe back in like the 90s, the 80s, it was considered a big downgrade. But now you have prestige actors going both ways, basically. They go to TV, they come back. It's not a big deal.
Who?
Matthew McConaughey
Matthew McConaughey
in
did
True
it.
Detective.
Yeah, he did do
Okay.
it.
Well,
Ewan McGregor did it in Fargo.
I think I would say that until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, even, I think the line has been blurred because we're not talking about just TV studios doing cable shows. We're talking about big major productions by like HBO
Streaming
as a
services.
TV show.
true.
Because I was asking that question kind of as a joke, but because
Yeah.
I was thinking, like who actually, like Ben Affleck, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
And
then
also the Marvel procedural shows have
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of also blurred that line with like spin-offs and them using like the main cast in the spin-off, like with the WandaVision and stuff like that.
I would even say like even as early as The Office, where Steve Carell, starred as Michael Scott there. I remember there was a bit of like a whoa, like this is a movie star, and he's signing on as like a main character for a sitcom, and he slids right back into movies afterwards. So it's like I like that there's been kind of like a bleeding. There's no like TV actors per se or like movie actors. Now it's like not a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting that you mentioned Steve Carell because his start was on TV.
Oh, that's right. He was. Didn't we?
It's like obviously it's blurred lines and none of it matters where these
Right,
people
right.
are doing or what they're acting. But when you mentioned Steve Carell, I was just imagining that he was maybe like kind of like a Jason Sudeikis, like an SNL for 10 years,
Lasso
a
is
Ted
a
Lasso
good-
type of star, where
Lasso.
it's like started in TV and comedy, got in comedy movies, maybe got a few non-comedy focused movies, and then did some TV stints.
It's
Yeah, so-
also most of the plot of BoJack Horseman, how he's like, a washed up TV actor and he can't get any other work, partially because he's been typecasted, and then the rest of the series is about him breaking into movies. And so I think it's kind of like in Hollywood, in the Hollywood circle, it's kind of like TV actors, movie actors. But as long as it's like dramatic and like serious and acclaimed, you can do
Right.
either.
No, totally. Like you don't see a lot of people breaking into like just a shitty sitcom. It's like it is still a little bit of a risk for these movie stars to do it. And I also wanted to talk about Lethal Weapon as a show because I don't think any of us have like seen the show.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, God,
I've seen
no.
all the movies.
Right, and I have not seen the movies, but Sean is actually like not just a guest star,
Yeah,
but
up
he's
there.
like the star of season 3 of Lethal Weapon, which I had no fucking idea about because I was
Yeah, I
looking
didn't know
for when
either.
he's a yeah.
I knew about the original guy who was cast as Riggs, who is played by Mel Gibson in the original movies. He had some on-set thing where nobody liked
Right.
working with him, so he was cut from the show. And the debate was whether or not to recast his role or to come up with a new role. And eventually what they did was they slotted in Seann William Scott in a new role, with a
Honestly-
surprisingly similar background.
Kind of a great decision to bring Seann William Scott to just like lift up your show, I think. Can you imagine like where they're recasting a character you like in a show and you're like, oh fuck, like I watched this shitty cop show and they took out an actor I like, and then you hear it's Seann William Scott coming in as a permanent character. I'd be like, hell fucking yeah, I'm gonna watch this shit.
Yes,
I think so. I agree that it would incentivize me to watch it, but that's maybe after I've watched 8 Seann William Scott movies and have become quite a big fan of his. Like, most people that we talk to about this season, they're like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
They might even confuse him with a TV actor that looks familiar to them, but they can't quite place what he's been in.
That's true. Sean is someone like I had a friend of mine, Jake, or friend of ours, friend of the show, Jake.
Yeah.
hit
oh,
us
just
up.
yours, huh?
Friend of
in
mine.
peace.
He's just my friend. Fuck off, guys. He hit me up, and he's a listener to the show. Hi, Jake. Shout out to Jake. But he was saying that he was surprised that like he's seen so many Seann William Scott movies. Because I feel like a lot of people, again, we said this at the beginning of the season, are like, who the fuck Seann William Scott? Until they see him, and they're like, oh wait, I've seen all of his movies.
Yeah, right?
I know this guy, and I even like this guy. Like, why? Why is he not coming to mind? And I think that's because he like took a bit of a break. Like he's not in these 2000s like sex comedies. How are you guys? I want to vibe check. How are you guys feeling about Seann William Scott this many episodes in? Ryan, you alluded to it.
I'm sad. I'm sad we're at 9.
So we got one more Sean experience until we're done with him forever. We're never going to see a Sean thing again.
Ever again.
I found him to be a comforting presence whenever we finish up a season, even if I hate it. Like, even if it's something where I'm like, I'm so done with dog movies. Like, coming to the end, my brain's like, wait, no more movies starring dogs? What the fuck am I going to watch now? Like, I'm feeling that with Sean, even though I haven't necessarily enjoyed, like, a lot of the movies we've watched. There's something comforting at this point now of seeing this same motherfucker every single time and being like, that's our guy. Like, what are you feeling, Jace? Like, about Sean? You were kind of making some mixed faces.
Yeah, I'm blanded out. I think honestly, this I think the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode this week really, like, okay, for the audience, we haven't recorded I think in like 2 weeks, which means
Under the hood.
we have like 3 weeks without having watched an episode. And when this has happened previously, it kind of feels like there's a drive killer, like it happened in Anne Hathaway. And I watched the It's Always Sunny episode and the Lethal Weapon episode like a week and a half ago. Wasn't really happy with them.
Ouch. Yeah.
And was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna rewatch today before the show just so that I'm there and I remember some of the stuff. And the It's Always Sunny episode had me rolling. I was enjoying seeing Seann William Scott in it and acting and being like he has been in the previous movies, but like overall blasé, because the last 6 movies have been almost the same exact fucking movie, and I'm just I'm losing it. At least with dogs, it was like, this dog's playing volleyball, this dog's animated, this dog is, I don't know, fighting a boar.
Yeah. You've reached blandness. I think
I've reached blandness.
That's great. And we'll touch on that on State of the Podcast. I might get there after this episode or the next one. I wanted to check in as well about your guys' impressions of Sean at this point. And in order to do this, I have this website we haven't used in a while called madtakes.org.
So impressions wasn't a misnomer. You are literally talking about our impressions of
our boy Sean. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Can I get a noun?
Oh, okay. Scuba gear.
Scuba gear. Jace, can I get an adjective?
Adjectives describe things,
Yes.
right? Like badass.
Our English teacher. Okay.
There we go.
Badass. Our English teacher listens to our episodes, and she is going to fucking shoot us. Ryan, can I get an animal? Plural.
Cougars.
Jace, can I get a plural animal as well?
Have you given one? Or are you just writing it down without,
All right, fine. I'll give it plural animal.
Yes, thank you.
Jace, can I get a verb ending in ing?
Chugging. I'm just taking words from Mac Day.
Ryan, can I get an adjective?
Slender.
Famous person. I guess I'll do this one.
Oh, you're not telling us?
Oh, do I have to fucking tell you guys?
Yeah.
I'm just having you guys say them so I know them. Benedict Cumberbatch. Color.
Okay.
Jace.
Benny Bottom cucumber pants. Color.
Any color.
Color. What's the color of freedom?
Just
the American
look around
flag.
The American. Jace, I need a single color. There's 3 colors in there.
Black. Black.
Ryan, a noun plural.
Oh, I had to-
Quickly.
Beers.
Me plural. Fire hydrants. Jace, animal plural. Hurry.
Hamsters.
Ryan, verb ending in ed. Quickly.
Squishing.
No, ending in ed. Yeah.
Macadamia.
That's not a verb. You can't macadamia something.
Yeah, huh?
I'll do squished. A noun plural.
Wizard hats.
Thank you. All right, Ryan. I sent you the text.
By the way,
you
the
must
last
read.
time you did one, that's the last thing you sent me.
And nice. I want you to really channel Seann William Scott here to the best of your ability. Try to capture his essence.
If you need some cues, he really doesn't move his mouth a lot when he talks.
And he doesn't blink.
I gotta hold on. Give me.
It's hard. It's kind of a
give me a
hard
second. Give me a
impression.
second.
Yeah.
Because I gotta remember what kind of vibe he's got.
It is tough.
I'm gonna channel like the Stark Raving Mad sort of like talking to the camera.
Okay, yeah, that'll be good.
A little overemphasis. Okay, part of my lisp as well. In J.R.R. Tolkien's famous trilogy, Lord of the Scuba Gears, the first book is called Fellowship of the Scuba Gear. In this book, a group of badass hobbits flee their hometown. They eventually join the fellowship made of cougars, elves, and sea cucumbers, with the goal of chugging the one scuba gear. They begin by traveling through the Slender Mountains, Oh no, I'm going Southern, where Benedict Cumberbatch.
Reel it in.
Real.
Okay, hold on. Where Benedict the Cumberbatch the Black is lost. I'm going Southern again. They continue on to the forest where the Queen of the Beers gives them the fire hydrants to ride down the river. And at the end of the book, Merry and Pippin get captured by hamsters, and Frodo is squished by one of his fellow wizard hats and leaves him on his own, but with Sam.
All right, well done, Ryan. You lost it in the middle there.
I lost it a little bit, and I reverted to Southern.
You revert. It's so easy to revert to Southern with Sean, but I really think you nailed the Stark Raving Mad in the first half. I think.
Yeah, I would agree. For a while there, it was on. It was on point.
And then I laughed, and because I was, I'm reading one word ahead.
Yeah.
And then that threw me completely off, and I couldn't get it again.
It's hard. Well done, Ryan. Well done.
Country Mac though. Country Mac, but for maybe you can get a Country Mac. Jace, this next one's gonna be for you. Jace, I'll have you start. Can I get a noun? Just like lightning.
Pirate boat.
Comes to your mind. Ryan, can I get a noun?
Spaceship.
You need a space boat, fucker.
Me, adjective. Stinky. Jace, noun.
Budweiser.
King of beers. Ryan, can I get a noun?
Pillow fight.
Is pillow fight a noun? It's a
Yeah.
person, place,
It
or
is a
thing.
thing.
Noun for me. Seat cushion. Jace. Verb ending in S.
Kicks.
Ryan, give me a number.
420.
Noun for me. Fire truck. Jace. Preposition, as in like a preposition is like under, over, around.
Yeah, inside.
We're almost done. Ryan, person or being.
Abraham Lincoln.
Me, adjective. Sticky. Jace, noun, plural.
Porpoises.
Brian, noun, plural.
Flizzflorps.
Jace, group noun, as in like everyone, Fraggles, etc. They said, what is a Fraggle? I don't know what a Fraggle is.
Pass. What?
Brian, a group noun.
Flock.
That's the author.
Flock.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, Jace, I just sent it into our group chat. Try to channel Sean the best of your ability.
Cool. Yeah. I'm just thinking of It's Always Sunny.
Think of the vibe.
He has the sideways look.
Yeah, he's kind of too cool.
I pledge pirate boat to the spaceship of the stinky Budweiser of pillow fight, and to the seat cushion for which it kicks. 420 fire trucks inside Abraham Lincoln. Sticky with porpoises and flip-flops for a flock. Cool.
That's not bad, dude. I was looking away. I was looking away so I could envision Seann William Scott's face saying this.
I think it was
holding
working.
a beer with his bro tank.
The thing is, there's a writer strike happening right now.
Right.
And they're afraid things like AI are going to take people's jobs. But we already have the technology right now.
Yeah.
And that's through Mad Takes. And folks, if you guys ever need Seann William Scott's voice and you don't want to scan him with AI, just hit us up and we will do it for you. Good
If
voice
that
on play.
very specific need ever arises.
Do you guys want to get into what we watched this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do we want to start with?
Yeah, what
How do we do it?
Should we start with the shorter one first and then get
Sure.
into the longer one?
Sure.
Let's do the entirety. So let's do
Okay.
one full review and then do the meters, and then let's do the other one.
You don't want to interspace them, so do like the first 5 minutes of one show.
Oh, but
followed by
you
the first
remember when Lethal Weapon?
And then, okay, yeah. Let's do It's Always Sunny, I guess, first. Jace, you got the summary this week.
Yeah. So again, we marathon
Yes.
movies, in this case, 2 TV episodes of a certain subject, that being Seann William Scott. And the first of the episodes we watched this week was season 9, episode 5 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yes.
Mac Day, wherein the gang has to spend the entire day doing what Mac wants. And at some point in that episode, Country Mac shows up. That is Seann William Scott. And Seann William Scott is kind of, as Country Mac, is the kind of, I guess, foil to City Mac. In that, if you've ever watched the show, he does every single thing that Mac does, but the gang loves him because he's not really fucking annoying. And he shows up, he's cool, and then he dies in a motorcycle accident.
Which I was not expecting. Like with this show, like I think I've talked about it with you guys. Like I've never seen really or gotten into It's Always Sunny. Like I've watched like the first maybe 2 seasons or like 1.5
It's so
seasons.
that's so weird to me.
Yeah, and it's just it's a show that never connected with me. I never thought it was bad. I think it's just something that just like didn't hit. It's critically acclaimed. I know it's got a huge fan base. They don't need me to like it, which is fine. But like seeing it dropping in 9 seasons in, I don't really know the dynamic of these characters that well. And like seeing this Matt character, he's not religious normally, right?
No,
Like,
he's very
yeah.
he is.
He's extremely religious.
But was that like a thing that was like going on the whole
Yes.
show?
They
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the issues is when he started out, he was like grew up religious, and so
Yeah.
now he parades these religious sayings around and replace. Well, in the Bible it says this, and then as the series goes on, like everybody else starts being like reacting against him and being like, "That's not like no, you're annoying. Shut up." So he like kind of overcompensates in some ways, and then by this point in the series, they've had full-fledged like debates about like episodes about religion.
Okay. This is an established thing. I wasn't sure if it was like a bit he was doing just for the episode.
It is an established thing. I wouldn't say it's every episode, but like he very regularly like, well, first of all, through God, all things are possible. When
So
somebody's
jot that
like,
down.
you can't fucking do that.
Yeah, and so the funny thing is like everything that's brought up in this episode is something annoying about Mac. There's been previous episodes where the gang is like fed up with him and they're like, he's being ridiculous, and their plans are ruined in some way because he has these weird ideas of himself that are completely untrue, and he's the only person who can't see that they're untrue.
Yeah, a bit of a like a narcissist complex.
Right.
I like the concept of a day for yourself where you have to just have your friends just agree to do anything you want that whole day. Like, what
It's
would
a
your
good
guys'
concept.
days look like?
So
Like, what would a Ryan day look like, or a Jace day?
I think it'd be fun. I told about this a while ago. One day I woke Julie up and was like, today we're working out. It's 6:00 in the morning. And she was like, this is what you woke me up for. Because I told her like in the morning, we're going to wake up early and we're going to do something that I want to do. And so she agreed to it beforehand. And so I think I would like wake up, maybe make a breakfast, or go to here's I know what we do. We'd go to Cracker Barrel for
boy.
breakfast.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Then maybe we might go fishing, and then we might go rock climbing. Would be fun, and then hit up a brewery and come back and watch Friday the 13th,
Man,
Part 6.
Ryan day.
that's a good day.
Good day, folks. Try it out at home if you want.
Yeah. So here's the recipe: wake up and have coffee. Go to Cracker Barrel. Don't have to go fishing, but you can go walk around the park and go rock climbing or some sort of exercise you like, and then get a beer at a brewery. Go home. Watch Friday the 13th Part 6. That's like 6 or 7 events. It's kind of like how they did in this movie. There was like the 7 days. Yeah, that's good. That's a full day.
That's good. That's a good day.
It's fucking okay, you rookie. You wasted half your day by sleeping. We're starting my day with ecstasy at midnight so that you can't sleep. And then
Boom.
we're highballing cocaine at 7 a.m. so that we can play beach volleyball all day.
No judgment. Jace, I mean, I assume beach
That was
volleyball is going to be at some point.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what they did in this one too, right? Because they said
He did not let them sleep. That was just the joke that I wanted to insert there. Is like he started it at midnight and they start like the next day and they were like, he just talked at us for hours.
Jace, what would your day have?
Yeah, I think my Jace day would probably include, a barbecue, hanging out outside,
Fuck yeah.
beach volleyball, a quick dip in a lake, and then
you like the lake swimming.
I love lake swimming. I'm
He
a
loves
golden
leeches.
retriever.
That's it. Yeah.
You kind of have a certain resistance to cold water though, right?
No,
You do okay. Really?
I will get in cold water if somebody else gets in cold water first, but I don't want to be in cold water. I'm kind of a...
Yeah, I mean, those sound like things people would agree to do anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, you got to really drag these people in. Like I'm talking like Lord of the Rings director's cut marathon, 12 fucking hours.
Oh, so
Like,
now
that's
you think
something
our
that's
days aren't
hard
radical enough?
to wrangle in. Yeah. I'm talking high dose psychedelics, middle of a fucking field with a bunch of like LARPing gear. Like you gotta
would be
really
sick.
think
Okay,
big.
yeah, okay.
Because I'm kind of just describing my normal Sunday.
You already have a Ryan day every Sunday. You gotta think of a real fucking Ryan day, man. I'm talking Universal Studios, high dose psychedelics and LARPing gear. I'm talking going to see an IMAX movie, high dose
The problem
psychedelics
is
and LARPing
I live
gear.
in upstate New York.
The second problem is you're a
Not
normal
Hollywood.
person and not a caricature of an
That
imbecile
too.
and a terrible
My
human being.
perfect day is quite relaxing by the end of it.
Cool. I mean, so this episode was filmed about 10 years ago, which is kind of crazy. We're looking at 2013 Seann William Scott. He still looks great though. This is like still
Pretty
like
big.
10 years into his career. Still fucking shreddy. His intro is also good.
It's
When
hilarious.
he pulls up on the bike.
Pulls up on the bike and they're just doing karate moves at each
And it's
other.
Jesus Christ, there's two of them now.
I also like how everybody is in cutoffs, like they're dressed like Mac.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
It's
that's a
like
good joke.
The first kind of gag here is like they're trying to film what like Mac jumping off a bridge, but he's not really gonna do it.
Right.
And then Sean ends up just actually jumping off the bridge just to like show how badass he is, and he survives.
Yeah,
And he
this
just
is
walks out with a beer.
this is the key turning point for everybody
Right.
beginning to love him. Is that Mac is explaining, "I'm gonna go pretend to jump off that bridge. You guys are gonna act crazy on the camera," which is a fucking hilarious scene of them trying to attempt. And
yeah.
During the entire setup, mind you, the only words that Seann William Scott has said up till now, 5 minutes into the episode, is "City Mac." He's just standing in the back holding a beer, kind of like in the back third of the frame. And then
Yeah.
before coming up and being like, "Wait, you're not actually going to jump?"
It's a funny decision to have him do like such an understated performance,
Right.
coming off of like what he normally does, and they're like, we're gonna put him in this, but we're gonna have him say barely anything,
And this
it's gonna work. Yeah.
And this scene in particular is more like normal Sunny than other scenes in this episode, and I really like this scene because like you have one person with a crazy idea, they're forcing other people to go along with the idea. Only like one other person in the group actually gets it, how to execute it, because like they're supposed to be bystanders for Mac's video. He does this thing called Project Badass, and every now and then he does stunts and videotapes them for some reason. And so he's trying to make it look like onlookers are watching him jump off this bridge, but he's not actually going to jump. So then the group has to act like they don't know Mac and that they're just like members of the public. And how that goes hilariously wrong is like Charlie and Frank are like, "Oh yeah, look, Mac's up there, he's gonna jump." And they're like, and Dennis is like, "No, we don't know his name. We don't know his name. Also, I don't know you."
His name's actually Rudy.
Yeah. And then at the end, when Seann William Scott does jump, before it's revealed that he survives and is thriving and drinking beers on the way, is that Matt comes back down off the bridge after Sean jumps, and it's like, he's dead, we gotta go, he's dead.
Mac day's over. Yeah.
And I think that like dichotomy between him saying that and then Seann William Scott moments later walking out of the water drinking a beer is how the character, at least the Country Mac character, works. And that's a perfect example of like a 2 or 3 minute long scene that really, really works. I didn't think the entirety of this episode was that great on a rewatch, but like that scene is hilarious.
The stunt is also funny. Like, did they throw like a mannequin off
They must have, I
the
guess.
bridge? Because it looked really real, and the sound of it hitting, I was like, oh, fuck. And the way he comes out, like, he's barely even wet. Like, he's just walking out with the beer. Which I think that contrast is funny. Like, is Sean immune to fall damage? Like, he's after like the rundown where he rolls down a whole mountain.
Maybe that's a good theory.
Is he's immune, and that's why he keeps getting action rolls, is because you can just drop him from a high distance. But he's like, he kind of mentions it after he gets hired. He's like, hey, so glad to be on It's Always Sunny. By the way, I won't die if I fall 100 feet into open water. So
Can you sign this NDA so you don't?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to tell anybody. I pre-signed the NDA for you.
It's a secret thing, but it's a little perk of hiring me every time. Every actor has a perk. That's mine. The next scene, he's in a planetarium. He pulls out weed. That was pretty cool. It's very Seann William Scott-esque. Pulls out a J. And then I like how he's saying like the God stuff better than Mac, and everyone's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then he heckles the presenter.
Which is a very, like, that's a deep cut as far as the episode goes, where...
Is that like an old joke?
Yeah.
And there's just kind of like skit by skit, more things happen. He's cool, and the same things Mac is doing
And it comes to a head when they realize that. Like the group has a discussion in the planetarium after they've hit the vending machine up for snacks and they're high. And they're standing there in the hallway and Dennis is like, I used to think I didn't like karate and like God and stuff, but it turns out I just hate Mac. And the assumption that you get at that point, and later confirmed later, is that they want Seann William Scott to permanently become a part of the crew.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
It would be good.
Apparently, one of the chips in that scene, the potato chips, is called Let's Potato Chips, and it's the same prop they use in Community. Yeah, same prop department, probably. Little fun fact for you Community heads.
I think they took some pretty serious care to balance out how Country Mac was going to be better than the City Mac in this. In that scene where everybody's high and he's literally kicking the vending machine over and over again, the physical comedy of just like the self-contained Seann William Scott getting up close to the glass, like, and the bag falling. That was peak Seann. Like him in that moment, I was like,
yeah,
this is good. This is good content.
He's zenned out. He's in the element. Things just work when he's there. It kind of also comes to a head at a karate tournament, which Mac kind of insists they go to. And then Seann like starts a fucking like a bar brawl in the middle of the karate tournament, and then he just like pulls a knife out of a guy's boot. It was all very badass. It was like very Seann, I think. Somehow it worked. And then there was his death. Do you guys want to talk about his death?
Seann William Scott is so cool, and Country Mac is so cool that he rides a motorcycle without a helmet. He drives off after.
And before then, everybody's like, yeah, this guy, man, living on the edge.
Motorcycles are badass.
We need motorcycles.
Yeah.
They're like, we need motorcycles.
And he commits to being one of the group. He's like, yeah. Like when they ask
he
him.
agrees to come back. Yeah.
And he falls over and he bonks his head on his motorcycle on the parking lot and dies.
The stunt was pretty funny where he just like kind of rolls over a small speed bump and he just kind of flops over. Like whoever that stunt guy was, and he just like you could see his head kind of hit the ground and it just flashes to his funeral.
And that's something I like about Sunny, is that the show has no bottom. Like they have had jokes that are too dark and too controversial that the episodes are no longer on streaming services. So
right.
like there's another episode, D-Day. That one's not available on streaming services.
Wow.
And so that's what I like about the show. And this scene is a perfect example where they jump cut from like, oh man, this guy's awesome. I love this guy. I really want him to be in our thing forever. He's like my new friend. Two seconds later, they're at his funeral. There's no like in between explanation thing. They want the laugh. And that's what I like about this. Unfortunately, it came with the demise of Seann William Scott in this circumstance.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
This is our first death, I think, we've had with Seann William Scott as well.
No,
I don't.
Final Destination.
He did super die in that, actually.
Mega die.
Totally.
Also
right.
head-related injury.
That's the only way you can kill him, guys.
It's like a zombie.
Destroy the head. Don't try to drop him off a cliff either. That won't work.
Unless he lands on his head.
He lands his head. It never happened. Frank's first thing he wants on Frank Day is to flush his ashes down the toilet, which is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this episode was missing more Frank, too. That was kind of interesting. I think the Seann William Scott time came at the expense of Danny DeVito.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like, pay rates.
It was pretty light on this seemed a bit more, like Denali mentioned, skit focused on each one of the days maybe than I feel like some of the other episodes run.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
the other ones have like an overarching scheme that they're trying to swindle other people or get rich quick. And in this one, it wasn't that. It was just doing whatever Max wants to do, and that's like separate events. I agree. I think it worked for Seann William Scott being the one-off character, though, because then like we didn't have to have a really complicated backstory. His backstory is that he's from the country and he's Max's cousin.
Yeah.
And that they're the yin and yang to each other.
All right. So we want to go over our Shanometers and our TV meters, where we will review these separately. How Seann William Scott was this, Jace? What do you think about Seann in this episode?
I think it's right up there. And I'm hoping it ticks a lot of the other boxes for you guys because, he's definitely not the lead. I think one of the things that Stark Raving Mad showed me, maybe just in that era, is that, even the next episode we're about to talk, is that Seann William Scott's like major role, speaking part, acting vibes for me are not what I'm looking for out of him. But like his ability to like act with his body and inside of a scene is like really, really good. So I think I'm going to put this for me. Shit, I might give it a 10. I think I'm giving this
10?
a 10.
Whoa.
I think I'm
Hot
giving it a
damn.
10 because it's like it's such a short episode and we obviously pretty much just described all of it. We missed one day where Mac was like, "And God made man," and then he opens the door and it's a bodybuilding show and he's like, "We're gonna grease these dudes," and Seann William Scott comes and he's like, "Man, I'm loving it here. It's like I'm getting so many numbers that it's like there are chicks here." And he's like, "No, dudes. I'm into dudes." And then everyone's just like, because there's this whole thing in the entire show, Denali, you might have picked up on,
Okay.
up until now, where they're building towards Mac clearly being gay, but being closeted, and
Right.
just like really, really vigorously trying to not let anybody know. So Country Mac being like, "Oh yeah, I like dudes, loud and proud. I'm
Yeah.
gay." And he delivered that line like in the way that I've enjoyed him delivering lines in like the first 4 or 5 movies that we watched, where those were his funny moments where like the camera's on him, he's got that kind of smirk on, he looks really happy, he says something hilarious, and then they move past it. And the whole episode was that, including him standing in the back just drinking a beer. And I think he sold it in for like 23-minute performance as a guest on a TV show.
All right, a
did it.
10. He hit it. Ryan, what do you think about Seann in this episode?
I'm gonna just say I think it's gonna be a 9 because I didn't get a caw.
Oof.
So that's one of my points.
Caw.
I thought it was gonna be in about half the episodes, but I don't know why this isn't my scale anymore because it's only been in like 2. But I've talked about this before. My vision of Scott is a badass, not a kind of wimpy, doesn't know what's going on stoner head, which I guess most people relate to him as. But I saw this episode shortly after it came out, and then role models, he's kind of a similar tough guy vibe. He's the cool guy in Role Models. So yeah, this is like perfect for him. I don't think a different cameo actor would have pulled off what he did as well as he did. Like, it wouldn't be funny if they got like a super A-list actual person that was like, "Hey, watch this episode of this TV show. It's an A-list actor. We're going to pay extra money to get more eyes on the screen." No, in fact, it's like, we're going to get this guy who's like not that famous. I thought it was perfect.
A clear body double for Mac.
Right. He's...
Same build.
Wait.
Sorry, is what I'm,
Yeah.
I'm saying.
I thought you
like-
meant, okay, I saw, yeah, okay, yeah.
And the fact that he is kind of playing the antithesis of a well-established character is in itself funny to me, in that you know so much about his character's personality because you know so much about his anti-character. Because we've had 9 seasons of Mac exploration, so we don't need a couple episodes to get to know his character. We just say, "Oh yeah, he's the opposite of this guy." Not opposite, because he likes the same stuff. He's just actually good at it. And that's hilarious. And I thought there's no better actor for it. So I think 9 is great. He's awesome. But I didn't get a caw. He's ripped. He looks good. He's dropping brewskis. But yeah.
He is.
He almost got a call. You got a battle cry at the end when he takes his shirt off and he chokes the
that's
karate
true.
guy.
Oh,
but it's not a
shit.
call, but it's like he does. They like literally have him like. Which I was surprised about. Not a caw. I think those
Not
are
a
two
caw-
very distinct things.
Legally different.
Yeah.
I'll keep this one short because we have a whole ass another review to do after this. Jesus Christ. But like this, I'm gonna give this one an 8. I think it's a good deployment of Seann William Scott. Very efficient. I think you're playing at his strengths here, and I think he was used really well. They also said the words Mac Day in here. That's one of my criteria for Seann, is that they always say the title of the thing that they're in. He nailed it. He has a quote in here where he says, "It's not my style. I just go with the flow. Let the wind blow through my hair," which I think encapsulates a lot of Seann's attitudes throughout a lot of his movies. He goes with the flow, but he makes it work. He's just like this good vibes machine. Things work out. I'm going to dock him a little bit because I didn't think he was very shibby in this. He was just kind of like, a country guy. I didn't think he was that cool. Maybe the crew did. But, not that shibby, but that's okay. And I think you can get more Sean than this. It was a little understated, but again, I liked him in here, an 8.
Okay.
Sick.
Okay.
Agree-
Normally we'd be done.
Well, Jace, do you have a TV meter for this?
A TV meter. So this is actually the first time. This could be short. I've never looked It's Always Sunny up on IMDb, but the show has like a surprising, like a very high rating for every episode. And maybe it's because it's, or for the series as whole, and then because of for the episode. And I think Mac Day is the third highest rated episode in the season. I was gonna give it an 8. I feel like eight's a good place to be for the. As far as like TV show comedies go, It's Always Sunny, I think, has a great run. One of the things that they do, kind of like South Park, it's very topical. It's about things that are happening in the U.S. at the moment. So like I can go back and watch seasons 1, 2, and 3 and probably miss a lot of the jokes. And I think that's funny. This episode's self-contained to Mac and the things that Mac does. But I think it hits. But I think there are better It's Always Sunny episodes. So 8 up there.
All right,
Good
fair
episode.
enough. Ryan, what do you think about this thing?
I think 8 is totally fair. I do have to give the reservation, and once again, that Always Sunny is like one of my favorite shows. And so I'm going to try and be objective and rewatching the episode, because I've been rewatching like not 1 through 16 or whatever seasons. I've been rewatching like my favorite episodes recently, and it didn't hit as hard as some other bangers like that were just good from beginning to end. So I mean, I think an 8 is a really good score, and I'm gonna also give it an 8. There's the unfortunate thing is that this is season 9. And I think, in my opinion, the show had a very clear peak from like 5. I would say a clear peak from like 3 to 7. So in that, it already has some of the things in the show that I don't like as much about the later seasons, like the last half of the seasons, just because like the pace of the jokes is slower. There seems like there's a little bit less improv. And it just doesn't have that it factor where it's just bang, 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 one after another. So I think 8 is totally fine. There's some episodes of this show, and we don't normally get to talk about this because we normally have movie reviews. But there's just some episodes of the show that are, 10 out of 10, some of my favorite TV episodes of all time. Like The Gang Gives Frank an Intervention, and then Who Pooped the Bed, and like the dentist system, which is super famous. Those are my 3 favorite episodes. And this, looking back on this episode, I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be like that. Like it was going to be one of the ones that was standout-ish. But it's just a really good episode of the show. So I think 8 is totally fair, and that's probably taking into account my love for the show too. So this is a little bit of a subjective score.
It's very fair, Ryan. Very fair. It's hard to vote one of your favorite shows so low at an 8. But I respect it. I respect it.
Well, right. I think I legitimately think there's episodes of the show that are below 5.
All right. Well, speaking of below 5, for me, I've told you guys that I'm not as big of a fan of the show. That's fine. I think the show doesn't need me to like it. Again, it has a huge fan base. For me, it wasn't hitting as good as I think it could have been. I think at this point of the show, too, it suffers from, it's 9 seasons in. The humor kind of naturally gets more insular, more self-referential. It's people call like Flandersization of characters. So it's like for me as a newcomer going in, maybe it's kind of harder to pick up on those things. It's hard for me to kind of enjoy those things. But because of how long it's been going on, it creates its own universe of humor that's hard to kind of drop into. I also think just because of like the year that it was from, not necessarily like just the sensibilities, but also just the style of humor from 2013. It's a little bit more shock humor, which is not necessarily like totally what I'm into like all the time. So like comedies from 2013, I'm usually kind of like, okay, like I can kind of see some of the jokes coming. It wasn't hitting with me 100%. I didn't think it was that bad. I think there was some good deliveries here, but I just didn't find myself like super maybe engaged or like laughing as much as I normally would with like a comedy that I like. But I think everyone in here committed totally. I think part of Sunny's strengths is like everyone just kind of goes in 150% in all of their scenes, and I think Sean committed the same way. I'm gonna give this actually probably a 5. I think like it was fine. Like I don't have any complaints. It probably just wasn't for me, or I need to watch, I guess, more of the seasons to really get into it.
Well, fair enough.
Sorry, Sunny fans.
It's okay.
But with that, we
He
do
likes
have
I
another.
Think You Should Leave, which
I
is
like I Think
peak
You Should Leave.
16-year-old humor, for
It's
sure.
a great show.
It's-
It's a better show.
I don't think it's a better show, but it's good.
We got to get into another show. That's
This one
even
can
better
be quick.
than It's
So
Always
show
Sunny.
2 was Lethal Weapon, the TV show, season
you guys
3,
wanna have an ad break?
episode. Lethal Weapon is a TV show spun up by Fox. I think it's a buddy cop comedy drama. Season 3 starring Seann William Scott in a major role. Ryan touched on the fact that I think they did some recasting. And he is, I guess, a detective in LA, is what it seems like.
Okay.
It's Christmas. He lives in LA so he can be closer to his daughter. His daughter is with him for Christmas. He lives in a motel. And I guess the episode surrounds him and his cohort around the Christmas time. And a guy that looks like Santa Claus commits a heist after he kind of inadvertently gets his neighbor arrested and his child taken away. It's kind of
Convoluted.
Really hard to put your finger on because it's like they have a scene where a probably obviously pretty conservative white woman shoots an intruder home invader with a shotgun. And you're like, that's pretty par of the course for Fox. That's how I feel like they would be. But the lead detective is gay. So, I'm kind of confused.
I don't like cop shows. I think they're fucking propaganda. But I think it's really funny for us to drop in 3 seasons in to a show that does have a linear narrative.
There's a lot of lore too.
Well, I think this
fucking
is
lore.
what I think about cop shows is that it doesn't no matter what I'm dropping in. I've never seen episode 1 of a cop show. Julie's seen every episode of Bones, but I've only seen sporadic episodes here and there. And I also agree. I do not like cop shows. Mostly because Bones is my enemy number 1. But my biggest problem with this freaking episode itself, if it's okay to talk about
Some law?
No, I don't. Okay, I'll save it for the end because it's about the final moments of the episode.
You're gonna hold off, Ryan? You're not gonna say it right now?
No, I won't say it right now. Hold on.
Okay. Like we said, Seann William Scott is one of the lead officers in this. He's former CIA. All right, this guy is considered a badass again, and the opening scene is him getting beat up by some kids in Slovakia. And I think it's so funny when shows depict like Balkan countries as just completely blue. It's everything's just a rusted, shitty
Listen, let's be clear. That's the only way you can denote to anybody watching Fox TV what location in the world something is in. In the Balkans, it's blue. As soon as you get outside in LA in this, the entire filter over the screen is orange, and you're like, what am I looking at?
It's opposite. It's different. And his mom's a secret agent journalist or some shit that he's traveling around. And there's a whole thing with Seann William Scott having a daughter. It's his first Christmas with a daughter. But damn it, he's got a case to solve. How does he balance his job and his daughter? And wow, he's also pretty shredded in this, guys. 2018.
Yeah.
Seann once again looks great. I think that's a huge criteria for me now, and I know it's not fair to Seann. I don't want to put this pressure on him, but he looks great, and I think in all his roles. Just great for him. It's goals. It's goals for me. His acting on this. Do we want to talk about this? How he's acting in this show? What he's bringing to the role? Because it's not like his other roles.
I think you're gonna have to hold my hand through this one. I pretty much just have really negative comments about the episode as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the shitty lighting.
yes, we
His
can go
mouth.
into the we can go into the production quality. We can go into the production quality in a bit, but I thought he was good. I thought it was kind of obvious that him and Damon Wayans were they were carrying this show pretty hard, and
I thought so too.
I really like Damon Wayans and his charisma and his ability to connect with this character he's a veteran sitcom actor, but you can tell that the relationship is kind of new, and I liked that. I got that from Damon Wayans. Now, Seann William Scott, I thought he was pretty good. Once again, the understated role, which kind of was he's too hot. He's a hot shot.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't really need to just be a cop in LA. He's a specially trained person, but he's put in this role that's maybe below him. And that's kind of what Lethal Weapon is literally about. That's literally the plot of the movies and the meaning of the title of the show is that so they have Murtaugh is in the original. So Damon Wayans is reprising Danny Glover's role. So in the show, Danny Glover is like really close to retirement, even though he's 41 years old.
Damn it, retired.
And he gets a new partner who just transferred in, and that's Riggs. Now Riggs is the badass. Riggs is the, loose cannon. Like Jace in BoJack, he's the meow meow fuzzy face. And so the idea is that Riggs, which is Mel Gibson, is really a veteran cop, but he's new to town. And so the way they do it here, they have to do it by the books. But he doesn't want to do it by the books. And if you get on his wrong side, he's liable to kill you because he's a lethal weapon. Like that, I think the title is literally referring to the character of Riggs. The lethal weapon is him.
Yeah. And that's what you want your cops to be. Just unhinged murderers.
Completely this close to going freaking psychopath. And so it's interesting that Seann William Scott comes in as not Riggs.
Right.
So Seann William Scott has to kind of be a cool under pressure. He really cares about solving the crimes for some reason, but he also is like really cool under pressure. And I thought he pulled that part of it well. It's just interesting because it's not Riggs. It's not the Riggs character.
I thought they gave okay character motivation in this too. Like as far as the story goes, and around like if we think about the real world sensibilities of people who are out of jail or prison and how they might react around a police officer, like this guy's kid, this kid's father is being held for something, and he's like, I mean, if they're gonna put it in a TV show, he's like, oh, we have the wrong person and we're holding him for the wrong thing. It's Christmas Day. I'm gonna try and solve this and get him out. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and that's what cops do. They try to solve the crime like that. They try to find the real person who did it all the time. No, and like I thought Seann was acting with like a lot of sincerity and world wariness here, which I think was interesting. I've never seen him interact with like a kid like that. I kind of believe that he was kind of like the person's dad, and he was like he cared about her. And like he legit has the look of a guy who could have been like a spy or an agent or something. He looked like he might have committed some war crimes, and it's weighing on him somehow. I was surprised by that energy he was bringing. Like, I think he's improved a lot since Stark Raving Mad. Like, I can now believe him in the Stark Raving Mad role after watching this, which is I didn't expect.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Also, like the place he's staying, the Safari Inn, like I know that place. I've driven by it. It's like right down the street where I signed my papers for my extra gigs. So it's like seeing the Safari, I was like, what the fuck? And then hearing about the chopped dead body in Griffith Observatory, which again, like I go to all the time, and I'm like, that's funny, that's cool. You guys also mentioned a conservative white lady with a gun. That is my coworker, Mary Pat.
What?
Really?
Yeah. So like, shout outs to Mary Pat. I probably hit you up by this point. She's my coworker, and she was actually in this. Like, I was not expecting this at all. Like, watching this and seeing her show up in the scene, I was like, wait, is that fucking? And then she pulls out a shotgun and just fucking splatters this dude.
It was great.
I was like,
it was a great scene.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
Because normally in procedural daytime TV shows, like, it's the cops who do the shooting.
Yeah.
And the character actors are just like, oh no, society's crazy, cops, come save me. And that was pretty funny. I thought that was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, like Mary Pat is awesome. She's one of my favorite coworkers. Shout out Mary Pat. And she's hilarious.
Mary Pat, by the way, well, it may be her, I don't know.
Yeah,
she's in. Do you need to cut her name?
I don't know.
I don't know if we can.
She has IMDb.
She has an IMDb.
She has an IMDb. Yeah, she's.
I want to clarify here that I can't put my finger on the show because they, as a directing group or as a series, have or feel like they're sending some mixed messages of where we are culturally. You blasting that guy in that scene was fucking hilarious.
It was fucking
And then
great.
the following scene, like, does she have a permit for that? And the guy's like, a permit to blast his head all over it was like, what the fuck?
He has like permit to blast his guts all over the tree and ornaments. which was good. Mary Pat Meter, 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
You did great in the scene. That was an absolute joy to see. And she talked to Swiss, too.
Hey, hold
Or
on.
Swiss
hold on,
talked
hold
to
on.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in an episode of Always Sunny.
Yeah, I told you about that, remember?
Well, I don't know it's the same person. I'm saying
okay.
this on the freaking episode that we're talking about the same show. Cool.
And she played in a band that played Warped Tour, which is fucking tight.
What?
I know. Yeah, she's the coolest person I know. But that was like such a, like, I was so, it's weird seeing like someone, you know, you work with in a very specific context all of a sudden show up in the show you're doing for a podcast. And it's like, I thought I was having a stroke. Like it's just, it's something that doesn't happen. But that kind of brings into like the way the events, the show kind of set in motion, right? Because home invasions are happening across town. And Seann William Scott's friends implicated. And it's like this Santa Claus guy, right? Who's doing it with his crew?
Yeah, they there's a Santa parade and there's a bank en route, and one of these guys looks like Santa. So they chop up and cut the thumb off of, I think, a bank manager, and then use the Santa parade as cover to get into the bank, steal the money, and then get into a fight. And we get the line, "Santa has a gun!" Which
That was so funny.
is so fucking funny.
And he beats him with a candy cane, like a giant candy cane. And like, what is it with these cops? They're like pulling out guns like in the middle of a crowded area and shit. And then just how many times did they kill a guy in this show and be like, oh,
Just
another day.
This was the comment I was going to make earlier, and I didn't want to.
yeah.
So my problem with police TV shows, and like whatever, if you don't want to follow the procedure because it's not, it's not exciting TV or whatever. When you are a police officer and you kill someone, you don't just get to laugh about it and walk away from the scene and just leave the body there. Multiple times in this episode, they iced someone and then we're like, okay. And that's the one thing I don't like, because even when you fire your gun, it's like a huge ordeal. And you only do so in like very particular circumstances. And
Well,
consider like even something like The Departed, where
I departed.
one of the main female character is that her job is to counsel police officers after they use their weapon in the line of fire. Like there's other media out there that uses this sort of stuff and incorporates it into the story. And for these procedural TV shows to be like, oh, you remember that time Santa had a hostage and was about to blow this kid's brains out, and I just freaking shot him in the head anyways.
Bro, I 360 no-scoped his ass.
Right. It's like,
In front of a kid. Like,
that's not, number one, that's not the way we want police working, and it's not the way police work or humans work. Like, that would be traumatizing for everybody involved. That kid would be messed up.
Yeah.
and the police officers too. Like, you shouldn't be so callous about human life that you can just kill someone and then be like, cool, let's go watch this parade 2 seconds later. That's not how the human experience works.
Yeah. Like, meatheads will watch shows like this and be like, oh, fuck yeah. I want to join up so I can do shit like this.
And also be like, well, why did and in real life situations when they're watching stuff, like, why didn't the cops just do this? Just freaking arrest him. Just shoot his ass. It's like,
Right.
It's even though this is about wrongfully convicting people and trying to get the real person and stuff, which is, more progressive than it was 10, 15 years ago, or 10, 15 years before this. It's still like so difficult to overlook that sort of thing when it's happening throughout the episode. Like, you going into this bunker, because we can talk about the bunker scene, but like, he just B&Es on some random house without a warrant.
I'm breaking and entering.
And
That
then
was
gets
hilarious.
into a prolonged fight with
Chainsaw
someone.
fight.
And
That
there's
was
like
awesome.
But there's a reason you don't do that. Like,
Because a guy could have a chainsaw.
because you could get freaking killed.
They slide down the chimney Santa style, which I did love.
Yeah, they have a lead. They have a lead on the true Santa perpetrator.
And Sean jumps
It's an
in
abandoned
and
shack.
Sean fights a guy with a chainsaw and a crowbar, and he double fights them and beats them both. And it was awesome. And the guy lets go of the chainsaw, and it's about to cut his partner's legs off, even though he took his hand off the trigger. But that's okay. It's TV, baby. It's a cool scene. You can also tell that scene was filmed during the day in the abandoned house, because like the way everything was like extremely lit up, and it just looks super cheap. But Ryan, you mentioned like progressive elements within this cop show. And like this is what kind of pisses me off about Copaganda as well, is that they'll in like create progressive elements within like the cop stories, but it still does not touch on like what is critically wrong with policing as a system. Like, it's just like, we're going to insert all these things. Like, we're going to insert like a gay cop or have like a lot of diversity or like make sure they're doing the right thing. But it still like ignores the central problem of policing.
Yeah,
in general.
they think
Like-
tokenism is the solution when that's not the complaint in the first place.
Yeah. And people will watch this and be like, oh, policing's okay. Like, we should keep this, just reform it within. And it's just going to perpetuate this thing. So it's like my thing with cop shows is it's just going to keep producing this problem. So it's like, even just watching it for me, I was just like, oh my God, fuck this show. Even in 2019. And then it was just further insulting seeing them just like pop, fucking pop caps and just random ass people
In the middle of a parade.
Yeah, in the
Which
middle
you
of a
cannot
fucking
do.
Santa parade. Yeah, this was just like, this was insane. I think it's because I haven't seen a cop show in so long.
Yeah, dude, do not watch Bones. Bones is so much worse than this.
They turn people into bones, and that's why
Yeah,
it's
Bones is like a scientist. She's out in the field gunning people down with like AKs.
Hell yeah.
No, there's seriously scenes where she like gets guns and shoots people.
That's awesome. That's so tight. That prop they used for the guy with the thumb? He's literally like assembled meat cubes on a table.
Yeah,
I
there's
was
a whole plot line.
shocked with that prop. I was like, holy shit. Like, that is crazy.
That's okay to show.
Yeah, that's
we
okay
can
to
show
show.
dismembered bodies put together like some sort of weird Frankenstein, but we cannot show, anything to do with actual gay characters being on the screen together. Just talked
yeah.
about off screen.
Also, Sean in this too, like, oh my God, because there's this whole thing with his daughter and like this ex-con who's his friend, and this ex-con is just talking to him and he's like telling him everything, and I was just like, dude, do not talk to your cop friend right now about
yeah.
anything. Look what happened to you because you talked to him.
The small amount of, it's not even legal advice because it's
Yeah.
commonly known in culture. Yeah, maybe this is just, maybe not legal advice because I shouldn't say that. It's
Yeah, no, not legal advice.
Not
Not
legal
legal
advice.
advice.
But movie watching critique.
Okay.
I hate when in movies people talk to the police. If you are confronted by the police in a movie, oh, Jason's gone.
I'm here. Sorry.
If you are confronted by the police in a movie,
In just a movie.
and yeah, right, or TV show, do not talk to the police and affirmatively invoke your right to remain silent and that you would like to see an attorney before any questioning continues.
Yeah, this dude was like, yeah, Sean, I don't know. I might do this crime. I don't know. I think I might have done it. I'm not sure. I used to do crimes. Anyways, I'll see you later. I got to go meet with this guy about not crimes. And Sean's like, oh, fuck, is he doing crimes? Is he doing crimes? I'm going to go tell my boss he's doing crimes. I'm going to lock him up for Christmas. And he's like, oh, fuck.
Well, and also the fact that like the cops in this show are so overzealous that they're out there on the street solving crimes themselves, like just one man against the world, like at all hours of the day, and their kids like, oh, why aren't you solving more crimes? It's like, oh, damn it. I guess I can't spend this time with my kids. I gotta go out and solve more crimes. It's like, no, stop. Like, don't you have a union?
That was really funny. Like,
Sean's a narc.
He's a narc. He's a fucking narc. Fuck Sean.
Fuck
This
Sean.
kid was like, oh, but he's not going to be home on Christmas. Go out there and kill more guys. And just like runs out of the party. Like breaks into a house, fights a guy with a chainsaw, and he comes back and he's like, oh, I just barely survived that. And she's like, is the fucking crime solved yet? And he's like, fuck. And he goes,
It's almost like
goes
I think you should leave skit. Like, imagine this guy goes through hell all day, every day. And then he gets back home. He's like, did you solve any crimes today? It's like, go!
damn it. And like we talked about that alleyway scene where the bad Santa's holding the kid in front of him. And then Sean's just like, just think of Hawaii, kid. Close your eyes.
Dude. How egregious is this scene? Like,
Oh my God. It's like, I was thinking Lenny who tend the rabbit scene of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
And I was like, if he just shoots the kid right here and kills the guy behind him.
In Speed, remember Speed?
happened
Isn't that a whole thing?
I
Like, just
remember.
shoot the hostage. Wasn't that
Oh
the
yeah,
whole thing?
Isn't it where you shoot the hostage and it hits the guy behind him?
Yeah.
Was that Speed where that
I
happens?
think it's Speed. You shoot the hostage in like a non-fatal location.
Oh my god. And like there's all this lead up to it. Yeah, I mean, he tells the kids to start imagining Hawaii, and then like fucking Foghorn Leghorn pulls out his pistol and hip fires at the guy.
Yeah, from the
Inches away.
hip.
Hits him where? Exactly, too? Like,
It's not clear.
Bullseye.
And like the kid is like, "Damn, Sean, that was crazy. You just executed that guy right in front of me. Like, I'm
Let's
just
go
not
watch
gonna
the
respond."
parade.
No remorse or response by any single character. But every person who shot somebody in this, seconds later, they're like, "All right, where's the next target?" It was
Right.
just
I can't stop. Once they let me out, I'm like a bull.
I'm a lethal weapon.
and like Sean just high fives everyone and doesn't do 1 ounce of therapy because he's a fucking psycho.
Or paperwork. Or like due diligence.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably like waterboarded hundreds of dudes and toppled governments in his CIA days.
Yeah,
like,
we're lucky
is
this episode wasn't an hour and 20 minutes like Game of Thrones. Or the next 40 minutes would have been also waterboarding people.
It was
Yeah.
just hundreds of waterboards. Daddy, did you waterboard enough people to solve the crime yet? Shit!
Fine.
God! Break into another house. And then he frees his friend, and they have a nice Christmas together. Everybody high fives.
Yeah, I don't quite get that because the number one thing that criminals do who are guilty and when they're
Yeah.
being interrogated, they say, I didn't do it. Oh,
Right.
that guy that you caught doing that thing? I was not the hooded accomplice who wasn't caught. Yeah, that totally wasn't me, even though you saw me meet with him about doing crimes. And then me having part of the stolen property from that guy? That proves nothing. Like,
And then Sean being like, damn, he might be right, though. I might go out and...
right. No cop who has any amount of experience, unless it's their first day on the job, they would not believe that story. They hear that 1,000 times a day.
And also, I just find it hard to believe, like, after a cop has made an arrest, they want to go back and, like, unarrest that person and, like, find a different person
No.
to arrest.
In fact,
Like-
after they've arrested someone, they go on to the next case. They're
Yeah,
done.
it's like, that was just like, Sean is doing, like, 12 people's jobs with a gun. Anyways, do you guys want to get into the shinometer on this thing? What do we think here?
I'm going to give it a 4. I don't like the
4?
way they shot him. I think he was okay. And he started recently doing a thing where he doesn't move his mouth very much, like I was talking about. It was really bugging me the whole episode.
He got punched too many times in Goon, and I think he got brain damage.
He used to smile. No, he doesn't.
Did he smile in
like
Lethal
this.
Weapon?
I don't know. I was also so shitty with the... Well, oh man, this is Sean. Sean number's 4 for me. Yeah.
Meh.
Now, to the contrary, I think most of my comments were going towards the movie meter. I think I'm gonna give him a 6 because he did pretty good. And remember, I don't hold the lack of him being the very, very main character against him because that's my vibe of Sean. My vibe of Sean is that he's not 100% of the quantity. So the fact that he's a 1-2, I don't think is going to hold it against him. But I didn't get a caw-caw.
No caca at all.
And then he was a little bit too much of a hands-on badass, like shooting, killing, fighting person. Where he's more of the understated badass where, like, he's just a normal dude, but he's pretty cool. And this, he was, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's a procedural cop guy. I don't think this is one thing. I think he did a good job. So the 6 is for quality. I think he carried that, his plot line. I'm rambling. I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah.
It's a 6.
6 for Sean. Very generous, Ryan. I'm kind of thinking here because I actually think Sean did a not bad job in this. I think he was utilized well, and I think he was doing things that are different. Like, he wasn't necessarily playing to his stereotypical strengths here. He was trying to do something straight and dramatic. He was not a wisecracker in the show at all. If anything, like, his partner, I think, was making more jokes than he was. Like, he was kind of the straight man that was the grizzled badass. And that's hard to pull off, I think, for someone like Sean who hasn't been casted in a role like this. This is someone post-Goon, and he wasn't even bringing that Goon energy in here because he's supposed to be kind of smart, too, with a lot of experience. I think he acted well in here, actually. Like, none of his lines were really clunkers, either. Like, sometimes, and I hate to criticize Keanu Reeves, and we've done it in the Keanu season plenty, but sometimes when Keanu's a badass, he will say a certain line where I'm like, oh, maybe take another roll at that. Seann didn't have any of those moments in here, and this is a TV show. They're banging these episodes out one by one. Honestly, I think it's a pretty good deployment. I'm gonna give him a 7 here. I don't think this is like a typical Seann William Scott thing. I think the words "bad Santas" were said in this episode. Can you guys confirm or deny?
I think that's true.
He said no caca. He wasn't shibby at all because he's a cop. But I do think he did a good job here. 7.
You know, he technically does do this a lot. He's been in more episodes of the show.
He does. That's true.
Technically
than movies.
He's probably spent more hours, being a cop than not. Jace, what do you think about TV Meter?
This fucking was shit TV. It's, kind of, nobody that's a fan of this show is going to listen to our podcast, but like, if you can drop into a comedy midway through, even if it's somewhat linear, and have, I think, maybe something to enjoy, versus this just mess. Like, the shots are terrible. There's like weird decisions with the color on the screen to trying to depict where they are. There's probably a technical term for that, a filter. There's weird filters that really suck. I mean, like, some of the lines, you can tell they're trying to like make you empathetic or connect with a character. Like, Mom told me not to expect much this Christmas. And it's just like, wow, what? We keep I hated the flashbacks to the mom who's giving her son a sob story about always being together on an adventure because she's not giving him a normal life because she's trying to be a journalist, which, like that fucking sucks. I don't agree with that as a parenting choice. I feel bad for that kid. Yeah, I think the only things in this for me that hit were Santa's got a gun, and the ensuing fight with said Santa that had a gun. There was a weird side lore plot about the lab technicians and the scientists that didn't make any sense to me because we dropped in this late. Two.
Damn. Ryan, what do you think?
We're gonna round it out with another 2.
Woo.
And those 2 come from the 2 main actors being fine to watch. I did like Damon Wayans as well, but I just do not like procedural cop shows. I don't think this was necessarily bad as far as they go, right? Like, man, I don't like Bones, but like,
we've established fuck Bones.
I do not like Bones. So Bones pretty much peaks at like a 1 for me. So this being a 2 means that I didn't entirely hate it. And I think Damon Wayans is hilarious. So yeah, there's not much else I can say. I mean, I will tell that the funniest part of this for me is that I got an ad on Hulu in the middle of the episodes twice, 2 or 3 ads. And the first time it was the Apple Fitness privacy ad. And it said, in walks Rick, the guy with a hemorrhoid. And the lighting was the same as in like the episode.
Oh my God.
And there was no like blip. And I'm laying in bed. And so I was like, what the fuck? Where is this going? And then the app, it showed the iPhone app. And I was like, oh, this is that. I forgot Hulu has ads.
Well, there's a narrator who announces whenever someone has a hemorrhoid, but then they drop out completely.
Right. That's a weird little quirk of the show. Yeah. So that made me laugh, but it wasn't part of the show. So I'm going to give it a 2.
Ryan, I was using your Hulu to watch these. Thank you, by the way. But please, for the love of God, pay for ad-free.
No.
I have not watched ads in so long. And, like, it's funny watching It's Always Sunny in this show. Because, like, Amber was like, are you getting, like, targeted male ads? Because all of them were like, do you have erectile dysfunction? Or, like, oh, degree for men. And then, like, a Burger King commercial. It's like, this show is not good. It's not good conceptually. And it's not good in its execution. The flashback scenes Jace mentioned were fucking terrible. And like, I have this thing about like child actors. I can't judge like a kid for not being able to like naturally act. But sometimes when it's just a kid acting badly in front of me, it's almost intolerable. Like I cannot like physically watch it. And I feel bad for the kids in this scene. They're probably acting better than I could have at that age. But man, it was bad. There were, I guess, 2 incredible fight scenes in this show. which are great, which was Seann versus the Chainsaw and Crowbar Man, and Sean's partner, I'm forgetting his name for some reason, Damon Wayans' character, where he's fighting the Santa, and the Santa's got a gun scene. Those were great fight scenes. Even that scene where Seann hip fires at the Santa, it was horrifying, but I just couldn't stop laughing at the absurdity. I was kind of entertained. The son side plot with Damon Wayans' character, where his son's coming home and he's trying to plan a party and he keeps going over the top. I don't know. I thought that was kind of fun. There was some kind of fun side plots happening here.
I fucking hated that.
Jace hated that. And I will say, I will also give this a 2. I was trying to just find some good things in here, why I wasn't giving it a 1. I don't think I could watch the show again, but Mary Pat scene was a 10. I did enjoy that thoroughly. Yeah, that's a 2, guys. Anyone who watches Lethal Weapon, watch a different show.
And stop listening to our podcast. Fuck you.
Stop listening to our podcast. Fuck you.
So the next thing we need to do is discuss how we close out this season.
Yeah.
And
Holy
I
shit.
have a debate for you guys.
Okay. Wait, whose pick is it first?
Mine.
Is it
Ryan's.
Okay, cool.
So do we close it out with the role that made him famous, the role that most people
Okay.
from our generation know him in?
Yes.
And-
Oh God.
Right.
The Stifler.
Yeah, American Pie,
Stiffmeister.
which I have never seen.
Really?
Yeah, I know
Okay.
of the jokes, obviously,
Yeah.
the main jokes. But like, is that we've hated the late 2000s
Yes.
version of the sex buddy comedies? Would it even be worth it to do late 90s, early 2000s version? Because those, like, American Pie is kind of one of the movies that started the trend
It is.
of raunchy buddy comedy. So would it be worth it from a that perspective of actually analyzing it nowadays and seeing how the people who tried to rip it off went wrong? Or should we watch Road Trip instead, which is a ripoff? My argument, I've never seen it, but in Road Trip, he's one of the main people. He's like on the cover.
Okay.
I think there's 5 main guys, just like in American Pie.
Here's my thing. Road Trip is another teen sex comedy
Right.
from 2000.
That's what I'm saying.
If we're gonna have to watch one anyways,
Right.
we should probably get it at its source. And like honestly, if people are asking about our Seann William Scott marathon, what
gonna
movie
say
are they gonna
American
think
Pie.
we're gonna see? All right. The other thing is, you just saw Blink 182, and they're literally in that movie.
Oh,
Their songs and the band, isn't it?
really?
Look, we could try to do American Pie.
And if it's too bad.
We've given our disclaimers before, and we can just review it objectively.
I think, it's like if it was any other movie but 10, and if it was not the movie that he's most famous for, I would say no, because I voted against Les Mis really fucking hard
Les
because
Mis.
Anne Hathaway is in that movie for 15 minutes.
She won the Oscar!
And he is, again, he's a small part of the American Pie movie, but he's famous for it. So
I don't see. That's what I'm interested in
so
learning.
yeah, I guess.
Why is he?
We
I don't get it.
Yeah. We should watch it, I think, Ryan. I was thinking about this too.
He's not. He's
because-
not the Jason Biggs character. I don't understand why everybody associates him with that role. And I originally was gonna not pitch this until last night, laying in bed in the early episode. I was looking at the Lethal Weapon trivia to distract myself from what was happening on the TV screen, and almost everything related to Seann William Scott was about how he was breaking his typecast from American Pie. And I thought that was so weird because, if anything, the Lethal Weapon cast was more in line with how I've imagined him.
Yeah. I watched an interview with Seann William Scott from like a year or two ago. And Conan was like, "Do you still get Stifler things yelled at you?" And he's like, "Every day." Every fucking day people yell Stifler shit
I
at
should
me.
watch his Conan interviews. I love Conan.
And he's like, I try to just be nice and be like, "Oh, yeah, man, I can take a photo with you." And he says they're like really taken aback that he's not acting like Stifler. And he's like, it's like I'm telling him Santa Claus is not real when he doesn't act like Stifler.
I just don't get it.
I think we need to find out why.
Was it kind of the McConaughey
Let's
Dazed
do
and
it.
Confused thing where he's like a not a member of the group that they're actually making fun of?
I mean, let's just see it because it's been a long time. I've seen like almost all of them when they came out. American
Really?
Pies. Like they were on FX again with FX. They were on them every fucking week. I used to watch them as a teen. And Ryan, I'm glad that you're the one who picked it and not me. So
Well,
hey,
that's
if we
my
wanna do-
thing too. Is it's at number 10 and nobody else has picked it, so I'm stuck with it, and I didn't want to be.
My man, you pitched Seann William Scott. You hath duggeth your
I
own
gotta take the
graveth.
bullet on
You
this
gotta
one.
take-
I got to. Oh.
I want to see The Wrath of Becky 2.
I know it's just not out yet.
Yeah.
We can do an emergency episode. Ryan, are we doing this? It's you got
I
to
think
turn
we're
the
doing
key.
it. I'll pull the trigger. We're doing American Pie.
All right, we're doing American Pie, folks. God help us all. Maybe it won't be as bad as we think it's gonna be. Jace, have you seen it?
Bits and pieces. I might have watched it all the way through, but such a long time ago that I don't remember.
He fucks a pie. It's
Yeah. There's been so many sequels and spin-offs, not necessarily sequels, but spin-off, that they've done girl versions as recently as 2020.
I mean, look, this would be a cursed season, but I think we could do an American Pie season. There's that many.
There's that many. Like it's
Holy
so bad.
shit.
It's listed at the top as video, not movie.
So, folks at home, maybe brush off that old American Pie Steelbook and check it out. Watch along. Let us know what you think about the show's Lethal Weapon.
Also,
It's
if you
always
have
sunny.
an American Pie Steelbook, please do not interact with our podcast.
Yeah. Wait, we haven't seen it yet. We could like it. Who knows? Probably not, but we'll see. Thank you guys for joining us. Subscribe, review us, 5 stars, please. Please, guys.
Please.
I know we make you mad sometimes. Sometimes we don't like the movie that you like, or vice versa. But please give us 5 stars. It's tough out here for a young burgeoning podcast. We make great content for free, and someday we're gonna start charging you, but not today.
We're almost
So,
in our terrible 2s.
Our terrible 2s.
We're gonna be real fucking mean in our terrible 2s.
Oh, you fucking wait until after episode 100. It's gonna be mask off. All right, we've been holding back for 90 episodes, and then once we get past 100, oh baby, the fucking tie's coming off. Thank you so much. Join us next week. Do we want to end with a Seanism? End with a
Okay.
Seanism. We'll think of something
You're
else
not
next season.
asking me. You're telling me we're gonna do it. You don't care about
Do
my
you
opinion.
want?
Who wants to start?
period. End with a Seanism.
Jace, it's your movie. Go ahead and start.
Jace.
television?
DJs.
Corn.
Horn?
Corn.
Corn?
Corn.
Oh, okay. The mic wasn't letting in the
Okay.
first
Grown.
click.
Okay.
Hold on. TV DJs.
Television.
Corn. Grown
Grown.
in
Vats.
Tastes.
wonderfully.
Like.
Butter.
Okay. That actually
That
kind of
works.
makes sense. TV
I think it makes less-
DJs corn.
Grown in vats.
In vats. Tastes
Tastes
wonderfully like butter.
Butter.
Who needs AI? We got 3 guys over here. It's fucking analog.